I want to thank everybody for joining this session about advanced wildfire and advanced threat prevention, which are part of the new enterprise agreement with Palo Alto Networks and the state of Georgia. As I said, this is a six-part series. First part was held a couple of weeks ago. If you haven't gotten that, we can make that available. We can send an email out about that. But with that, let's get started. So, who is Lockstep? Now, many of you
Art,
who are,
I'm not seeing your screen.
oh, you are not. Okay, let's try this again. How about now?
Nope.
Let's still nothing. Let's stop sharing and let's you have to love the technical issues.
Not
All right, so let's
a
stop.
day in the life in a technology company without one.
Exactly. If you don't make the sacrifices to the technology presentation gods ahead of time, you're liable to have issues. All right, let's see here.
Oh, Brad says that he can see your screen just fine.
Oh, he can. Okay, interesting.
Awesome. Apologies, y'all. Thanks so much.
All right, no, it says it failed to. All right, so Brad, what are you seeing? If you can communicate that with Nithya, because it is now telling me I have no ability to share.
Oh, I'm seeing no longer sharing.
All right, let's try this.
There we go.
All right, let's present this. And are you seeing the presenter screen or are you seeing the presentation?
We're seeing the deck, it looks like.
Perfect. All right. Well, that burned a couple of minutes, so that made the introvert in me a little happy to get a few minutes out of the way. So who is Lockstep? Now I know most of the people who are on this presentation probably already know of Lockstep, but some of you, because you may not have purchased your Palo Alto hardware or subscriptions from Lockstep, may not know who we are. So Lockstep has been around for quite a while. We have over 50 years of combined experience across the IT field, and we cover a great majority of the Southeast. Before I worked with Lockstep, I was actually a customer and very much respected them and knew that if there was ever a post-retirement life for me, that I could think of no better place to land than Lockstep. So if you're not familiar with the work that we provide, please reach out to us. We're happy to make that connection, and I think you'll really like the services and support we can give you. And we do cover a great majority of the areas that you will use in K-12, from selling hardware and software, managed services. We're really deep in cybersecurity, data center operations, and do voice. We also do panels. We do professional services. So across the gamut, Lockstep can help you with whatever you need. Now, some of you probably know me, but some of you may not. So let me kind of give you a little bit of background on myself. So I worked in K-12 technology for more than 30 years, served 27 of those years with Forsyth County Schools in Georgia, and 3 years with Richmond County Schools, also in Georgia. So I was part of the first group of technology specialists that were hired with Georgia's lottery funding. If any of you have been around that long, you remember those days when the lottery provided a great deal of money to K-12 technology. I worked on building out live stream operations, first of its kind in the country for a public K-12 system back in '97. I've done a lot of deep cybersecurity work. I collaborated with the Secret Service back in '99 on building out the first investigative handbook, helped build out the first wide-scale wireless network, and that was in Forsyth County schools. I've also done a little bit of software development I led a project spearheaded by the Department of Homeland Security following the attacks in 2001. I built a school layout for first responders. So if they arrived on scene, they would have a good layout of the schools with a video representation of what every classroom, hallway, and closet looked like. I've been published twice for cybersecurity materials for K-12. I'm a COSIN CETL certified technology person. I was a co-creator of an early artificial intelligence and machine learning driven graduation projector, which was a really interesting project. And then, to continue the nerd stuff, I went to Georgia Tech for nuclear engineering. I volunteer with NASA as a solar system ambassador, so I go out and give talks about our nation's spaceflight programs. And I was nominated for a Chicago Tribune Award for spaceflight journalism. And I kind of say all that to say that, I'm usually the person behind the scenes, not the one giving presentations. So, if you told me 30 years ago that I would be doing something like this, I probably would have cringed in a corner. But, just like technology evolves, so do people. So let's talk a little bit about the current state of things. And as you all know, if you've spent, much time in the industry at all, K-12 is under attack. It's one of the most highly targeted verticals. Ransomware groups really look at K-12 as a prime target because there's a lot of value in the data that K-12 holds, and there's not a whole lot of complexity, or at least historically, not have been a whole lot of complexity in the systems that were designed to protect those. And a lot of people think that school districts might not be a prime target, but with all the student identities, payroll records, all the systems that can be used and hijacked to perform attacks from them, school districts are a very lucrative target. And when you start adding in things like one-to-one systems, which can expand the attack surface, and then as I'm sure you guys have all experienced, staffing, you never have the amount of staff that you need to cover your daily operations, much less the days where you're constantly under attack. The bad news is it's only getting worse. Your zero day exploitations are rising. Attackers don't care if you patch the systems or not. In fact, they prefer you don't. So they don't wait for patches to be released. They hit you before you know that you have a problem. You get modular malware from places like GitHub, Discord, and other online resources. With everything being encrypted nowadays, that's the default. And if you're not decrypting traffic, you don't have visibility into a great amount of stuff that's happening in your network. Throw in command and control channels that are using evasion techniques and commodity malware, which can behave like a persistent threat actor in your network. And your day-to-day workload is really nothing that you can address without additional hardware, software, and subscriptions like you get with the enterprise agreement. And so, is a firewall alone enough? And historically, people would put a firewall at their edge, and that was enough to protect a great majority of the network from the threats that were being encountered. And back in the day, Palo Alto's core platform, which had application ID, user ID, URL filtering, and standard threat prevention, would have been enough. But as the threats evolved, so did the needs on the back end to protect the district from that information, from those attacks. And so I'll tell you when Palo Alto reached out to Lockstep to work on the new enterprise agreement for K-12, I was still a customer at the time. And I can tell you that the excitement that I had of being able to protect my district with these additional tools from Palo Alto really, really excited me. There was I can't tell you how many times that we had released an RFP and wanted to get all of these additional subscriptions, things like, advanced DNS, advanced IoT, advanced Wildfire, things like that that we wanted, but we could not afford. And thankfully, Palo Alto understood that K-12, being such a highly targeted vertical, really needed to be able to get these items. And so they worked with the University System of Georgia Tech Store and with Lockstep to get the enterprise agreement or EA for all K-12 member districts, and which was great. It gave every district, large or small, the ability to get best in class software and services to cover their district needs. And the reason why it's important to have all of these next generation um, tools to protect you is that majority of the attacks are unique and are only used once. So to get those advanced features like the advanced threat protection or prevention, excuse me, and advanced wildfire with it backed with AI, that gives you a whole additional level of protection for your network. So Palo Alto calls these services the cloud delivered security services. And though that there are five on this screen and the enterprise agreement covers seven subscriptions total, we are only going to focus on advanced threat prevention and advanced wildfire. And so that's going to be the focus of today's webinar. So before I continue, are there any questions to this point?
I'm not seeing anything in the chat.
Okay, thank you, Nithya. So many of you probably already are well aware of advanced threat prevention. So it is responsible for covering zero-day exploits. It prevents evasive command and control traffic over both web and non-web protocols. It can detect and prevent fileless attacks. It detects models using advanced AI and has a very robust database of signatures for prevention of known exploits, as well as being able to prevent against unknown exploits. And some of the examples of the things that advanced threat prevention can cover are SQL injection attacks, looks for known and unknown malware, and as I mentioned, it can cover command and control traffic that a lot of the malware relies on. So if you don't know what command and control is, when something gets downloaded, it will often reach out to remote services for further instructions because it's a very lightweight payload. So they don't, it used to be that malware did everything locally. Well, now it's very lightweight and it will reach out to remote services either for its trigger or for additional commands. So advanced threat prevention can take a look at that and prevent that from even occurring. Advanced wildfire is something that, if I were to guess, most of the people on this call either have not had or had the previous version of it, which was just basic wildfire, that would download signature-based detections, usually 24 to 72 hours after they had been cataloged from other customers. But advanced wildfire is a little bit different. So it uses a cloud-based engine that will analyze and detonate unknown and suspected files. And the interesting thing about that is that a lot of advanced malware, modern malware, will try to detect and see if it's running in a virtual machine. And if it is, it will not execute. So that's how it tries to hide. Well, Wildfire goes a little bit beyond that and masks itself as not being an isolated virtual machine. And so the malware thinks it is operating in an active environment. And then it has AI-driven behavioral analysis, so it can detect malicious activity before the signatures even exist. It can automatically generate and distribute new protection just within minutes. It supports a wide range of file types, Windows executables, Mac packages, Linux packages, documents, PDFs, archives, APKs, and it blocks threats before they execute, which is very critical for student and staff downloads because, with the speed of pipes nowadays, something is going to get downloaded and executed on a machine in a very short amount of time. And Advanced Wildfire makes use of over 67 billion samples of malware and insights from over 85,000 customers. It can detect 99% of both known and unknown malware, and it's up to 180 times faster than its closest competition. So the best of each of those works better when they're together. So when you unify for against zero-day defenses with both advanced wildfire and advanced threat prevention, you get a much more comprehensive threat detection and blocking chain. So wildfire is going to stop malicious files before they execute. Advanced threat protection analyzes unknown traffic and behavior. And why that's important are those things live at the core of the attack lifecycle. So you have your advanced URL, which occurs when somebody tries to go to these websites, and you have your advanced DNS, you have Internet of Things. And so right in the middle, you have advanced wildfire and advanced prevention. So that's why we're focusing on these core things today. You can see that advanced threat prevention will block command and control traffic in real time. And then finally, if an attacker is going to abuse your DNS vector, that's where your advanced DNS comes in towards the end there. So again, all of these are subscriptions, except for I don't know that the CASB is part of the enterprise agreement, but the rest of these things are all part of your enterprise agreement and will go a long way towards protecting your network. So here's why advanced threat prevention by itself is not enough. So this is kind of a notional attack chain that comes through. A student downloads a homework helper. Let's say it's, through something like GitHub if your district is allowing that. There's no known signature, and so the firewall is going to allow the file to be downloaded. File contains a newly modified payload, which again has no signatures for it. It executes and installs a lightweight beacon on the machine. Even though advanced threat prevention will detect that unusual command and control traffic, it only happens after the malware is already running. And so your district now has an active infection. So this is why defense in depth is so important, because you'll see here, according to this chart, if you're only doing advanced threat prevention or only wildfire, you're not getting the full picture. So brand new malware that comes out, ATP is not going to be able to detect that. Wildfire might give you that insight, but if you don't have ATP, you don't get the benefit of that. And that flips around for fileless attacks. So you get the best of both when they combine together. Now, let's start talking about some practical deployment guidance. So you'll notice here I've got a little bit of a highlight around this first item. So SSL decryption is critical in the use of advanced threat prevention and advanced wildfire. If you are not doing SSL TLS decryption, you are only getting a small visibility in what's happening on your network. You also should be applying best practice security profiles to all policies, not just your high risk zones. Make sure you maintain your current content updates from Palo Alto. If you have a SIM or XDR monitoring selection of tools to monitor that, you need to be feeding the information into your SIM. And then make sure you take a look to make sure that even though you're on the enterprise agreement, that you have activated your licensing and you've done the tuning necessary for Wildfire to ensure that it is examining and inspecting all of the traffic on your network. So what I want to show you here is Wildfire in action. So I spoke with one of our customers and had them export just, I think it was a 5 minute time span of Wildfire in action on their network. And you'll see that I've got highlighted here a selection of traffic that was encrypted. So if you weren't doing decryption on your traffic, that would not be visible to your system whatsoever. So even if you have the subscription active, that would not be visible to you. So that is a critical piece of the technology. So I want to make sure that you are making the most of your enterprise agreement benefits. So you need to identify where wildfire and advanced threat prevention can reduce risk in your district's highest impact workflows. You need to review whether your current firewall posture aligns with your district's instructional and operational priorities. And I'll tell you that if you don't have some of these things turned on already, um, you wouldn't want to turn them on without thoughtfully inspecting what the impact could be. Because if you turn on decryption and you don't currently have it active, then honestly, that could break a lot of things in your network, and you will probably not win very many friends, even though your goal is to protect your network. You will probably have people lined up with torches and pitchforks to want to ask you why you're doing those things. You want to determine whether your team has the internal capacity to manage this. You want to consider a periodic posture review to make sure you stay ahead of your evolving threats. And lastly, and this is where I'm going to put Lockstep back at the forefront. Lockstep has a ton of resources and experts who are well versed in setting up a Palo Alto environment and managing it, whether it's a small district or large. And so, if you don't have the on-staff skills or experience with that, please reach out to Lockstep or your partner, your other partners, to get assistance with that. Now, one of the things I've noticed is I went through this presentation very rapidly, and for that I apologize. This is what comes from mostly being behind the keyboard most of my life. So I probably went through this a little bit more quickly than I anticipated. So I want to make sure that you have the ability to ask questions. So what did I go over there that some of you may want to talk about in a little bit more depth? Are we seeing anything, Nithya?
We'll give folks a couple more minutes,
I know I went through that a little quickly.
but it was fantastic. Thank you so much, Kurt.
Mhm.
I'm still not seeing anything coming in.
That could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing.
I'm gonna go with a good thing.
Yeah, let's go with a good thing. I will say that in going through some of the Palo Alto modules for Advanced Wildfire, I was really impressed because I mean I'll be candid when we were looking at Advanced Wildfire when I was a customer, to me I thought it was a nice to have but not a critical to have. Um, but going through the different modules, I can say without a doubt that if I had known the level of detail and capabilities that it had, I probably would have pushed harder to find the funding before it was part of the EA. But now that I know that the enterprise agreement includes this, I don't know how a district would get along without it. Because without that, you are not getting the benefit of seeing what's happening on that part of the network.
All right, I'm seeing a question coming in. Does Lockstep provide pricing and services just to turn and set up the Palo Alto SKUs in the EA?
Absolutely. So thank you, Tim. I appreciate that question. Yes, absolutely. So if you've already purchased and you've got credits for the previous purchases that you already made on the enterprise agreement, yes, Lockstep can come in and help do an evaluation of not just your Palo Alto. You can look at your entire network, but yes, we can focus on your Palo Alto and give you a quote on what it would cost to go through and do an evaluation and maybe bring it up to best practices guidelines.
Awesome. And with that, I'm not seeing anything else in the chat.
I'll bring up one more bit of information. And one of the things that I think is good to know about the enterprise agreement is that it is dissociated from the hardware that you purchase. So as long as you stay within, like if you, let's say you own two Palo Alto firewalls and you want to grow them based on the amount of services that you want to provide for your district, um, those subscriptions will carry over to your new hardware. So you would just need to purchase the new hardware and all of those subscriptions will carry over to it. So that is one of the great things about the enterprise agreement. And to kind of give some more background, when I was a customer, we looked at all of these subscriptions before and were unable to afford any but all but two. So, I mean, excuse me, we were only able to afford two. And so we were getting significant blind spots when it came to advanced wildfire, when it came to advanced DNS, when it came to advanced IoT. So this is going to, I think we're going to look back on this enterprise agreement as a watershed moment for protecting K-12. Um, I'm really impressed and really grateful that Palo Alto was able to work with Lockstep to get this for Georgia schools. I think it is an amazing program.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kurt. I think this was a full of value, so I really appreciate you jumping on and going through this with everyone.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate your time on this cloudy afternoon. It's a little cool. And give one more moment for any questions. But if there are none, then we will return the day to you.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.